Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk About, a series of discussions from the Pet Industry Federation. My name's Dan, and I'm the Ops Manager here at PIF, and I'm delighted to be joined by Hendry from Finbo Studios and Kirsty Skeates from PetBizAi, and we're going to be talking about AI and the value of real. Good morning, both. How are you?
Good morning. Good,
Well,
thanks.
yeah, good.
So I think for those that don't know you both, maybe if you just want to give us a bit of intro about who you are and what you do as business owners, maybe start with you, Kate.
Yeah, so I'm Hendry and I'm the founder of Finbo Studio. And we essentially create standout brands for the pet industry that don't just look pretty on the outside, but it's all about connecting the inside reality, all those good things you know about your business, to the outside perception. So I always say it's bigger than a logo. Yeah, lots of branding stuff and keeping things consistent. So it spills over into design, into websites, into all that lovely stuff that you have public facing.
And you're also working with a lot of PIF members already, aren't you, Kate? I've seen some of your
I am,
recent work.
yeah. Yeah, lots of them. They're lovely bunch.
So, Kirsty, you used to have a canine hydrotherapy business, if I recall. How did you end up in the world of AI?
Yeah, so I'm Kirsty, and I had a Fit for Dogs, which was a canine hydrotherapy centre with a pool and an underwater treadmill and physio. And I built it from an empty building up to a successful hydrotherapy centre, and I sold it. And then I went into building AI assistants for pet businesses, so bringing AI into their workplace.
So, the reason for this talk is Kate put up a LinkedIn post up back in December. It wasn't a rant, but I feel like she wanted to get something off her chest, and you wanted to talk about the value of real. So, Kate, what was niggling away at you?
It definitely wasn't a rant, and I am known for getting on my soapbox every now and again. It was more, I think it's just like the big question, and I think it's the sort of thing that people maybe subliminally are all kind of questioning at the minute with, all of our feeds that we're taking in every day or everything we consume, there's a heavy AI influence on it. And I was wondering, as part of that, has the value of real, in inverted commas, gone up in the world? Like, are people valuing real, authentic interactions more? Or actually, are we quite happy with what we're seeing, knowing that some of it isn't as authentic as it could be? And I think it was just the value that we place as humans on real or artificial. And it was more, I'm just really interested. I approach everything with curiosity. And I know Kirsty's got such a brilliant amount of knowledge on AI and how she delivers and how she helps so many pet businesses. And I thought, let's chat and have a real discussion and get someone in who is an expert on it and who knows the difference it can make. And let's just hash it out and see what we think, because it's interesting for everyone.
So, we were talking before, and Kirsty mentioned that 80% of content online is actually AI generated now. Do you think that has a big effect?
Yeah, so with the amount of content that is AI generated, some of it's good and some of it's not. So that is a filter. And even before AI, we had so much content that was just being pushed out to us. I mean, social media has changed a lot into being more of a sales. It's just more about selling really than actually connecting. But I think 2026 is we're going to come back to connections, and we want to connect to, real people. So I think if we are talking about marketing and the changes that we could do as our business is educating and being open and honest and delivering real useful content and just making sure that the content that we are delivering is really good quality and not noise. And that's where we're finding ourselves now that I can pump out 100 pieces of content a week, but is that what really people want? So I think we can produce more and faster and more efficiently, but we really also just need to make sure that it's actually educating and what people actually need to be consuming.
So, in the pet industry, Kirsty, should brands or anyone using social media or advertising on the honesty, should they be stating, this is AI generated in some way? Or do you think the consumer will know that already? And then how does that affect what the consumer thinks of a brand or a business?
Yeah, I think it's really hard because it is always going to be AI generated in some way. You take a video of something and you put it up online, you use a real music behind the background, that's going to be AI generated. So it's sort of starting to merge now. So everyone should just assume everything has got AI in it. I was thinking of some of the big brands, like we were thinking about, does it make a difference? Would I not follow a brand because they use AI? Well, the script that person is using will be probably generated by AI. The way that they edit it, the filters that are put on it, so yes, you can be authentic and say, yeah, but everyone will know that there will be some AI in it. I mean, the example of Netflix, their whole business has got AI in it. The way that it delivers, it watches you how often you watch a movie. Did you like that movie? It will show you more of those, so in the background, that's just the way it's being delivered now. So,
Kate, do you think there's a difference between how people relate to an AI generated image rather than the copy?
Personally, I think there's a difference. It does depend on the subject. I see, there's different platforms that generate different quality of images, isn't there? And, the sort of go-to that a lot of people seem to know about is ChatGPT. And there was a time, I don't know whether it's still going, I've not seen as many of them, but there was a time sort of November last year when everything was slightly sepia toned. I don't know if you guys noticed that. We had these weird cartoony things and everything had a sepia cast to it. And I used to think, why is that brand who's really bold poppy colours all of a sudden posted a sepia cartoon of a dog? And, that's when you get that weird sort of jolt between what the expectation of a brand and what you're actually seeing. And I think that's, the stuff that you're putting out publicly. I think, Kirsty, like you said, AI in terms of integrated, almost editing and bits to help you with copy and stuff like that. I think that's great, but with a little bit of, I think there definitely needs to be some sprinkle of human in most AI things.
So keeping on the subject of image, and Kirsty might be able to answer this, does that come down to using the right AI tool to generate that image? There is ones out there like Jasper AI or Gemini 3 that are probably better related for that than ChatGPT.
So I would go back a step and it would come back to you and your branding. So if you are super clear on your branding, your colors, the font that you use, if you have your whole brand kit and you know what images you want to use and consistently, if you let AI know that, it will then be able to produce more images like that. So I think it is totally fun that there's loads of templates, and everything like that, or you can get any prompts, thousands of prompts out there because I play around with prompts all the time to get different images. So it's probably not just the image generator, it's the information that you're giving it. AI is just an amplifier. It will just amplify what you want. So yeah, if you want a sepia image of a dog on a field, then it will produce that because that's the template that they've asked for. But if you'd actually put in your whole brand kit in the background of that, it will take that information first and it will be able to generate more like images that you're wanting to produce. So that's not just for some of the different AI.
That's quite interesting. I raised it with Kate before about how many brands or businesses of all sizes actually have brand guidelines for AI, or are people within these businesses all working silo on their own, just generating content and images rather than sticking to the guidelines that we all normally would.
Yeah,
Maybe Kate, that's one for you to answer. It's your expertise.
Well, we spoke about that, didn't we? Having something in a brand guidelines of sort of what's okay to put in. Maybe brands need a page of prompts in the guidelines that tell them exactly how to use the brand in AI. Kirsty, you said you can put all your brand kit in there and you can do all this stuff. But I imagine a very, very small percentage of pet brands who are doing this, creating content on the fly know that. And that's why we were getting this sea of everything had this sepia tone, everything looked the same. And essentially it was damaging brands because if everybody's got the same sort of styling, everything's a little bit sepia toned, everything's a cartoon.
Yeah. And I think you're right on the damaging brands because the AI search engines, they are actually going to start penalizing AI content that's just churned out, aren't they, Kirsty?
Yeah, so mass-produced AI content, they will definitely start not prioritizing
I think the term
it.
is it scale content abuse? I think that's the actual
Yeah,
terms
so
that
you've got you've got some blog farms, and what they'll do is they'll just start churning thousands a day out, and it's just wasted information. But yeah, it can do that. But when we do start creating our own content, images or anything that we speak about, it's always good to get our own voice. So I'm happy to share I've created a AI business brain. And I'm happy to share that for free. Anybody can use it. So it just goes through, like, how do you speak to your customers? What questions do they ask? Your brand information, just even if it's just to have the brand font colors that it can actually refer back to, and it will put those colors into those images. So I think that's really, it might take you a little bit of time, but I think having that base information, and I suppose that's the same thing for all businesses, even back when we didn't have AI, it's having that foundation, having that core business foundation. This is my brand color. This is our information. We always go back to that first and then produce our content from there. But yeah, so especially with any written content, having your voice and the way that you speak, because ChatGPT will just give you what it thinks you want. It's a pleaser. It likes to please everyone.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've run a couple of polls, and I know you've run one as well, Kirsty, but I just wanted to super quickly run through the results because I thought they were quite interesting. And this is sort of general people who have a certain knowledge of AI, probably not super high, probably not, again, super low. It's somewhere sort of sat in the middle. Just for sort of full transparency, my audience is a lot of pet brands because that's who I'm speaking to. So it'll be pet brands, but also answering the consumer ones as well. I did run them on Facebook, Instagram, and on LinkedIn. So the results I've collated into everything. So basically, I asked people as a pet business owner, so for pet brands themselves, how comfortable are you using AI generated content for your pet brand? And I suppose I'll maybe caveat this by saying public facing AI rather than the actual sort of things that are integrated into softwares. So 6% of the people said very confident and that they use it regularly. 44, which was the highest percentage, said mostly, but with human editing. 25% still said not very, it feels risky. And another 25 said that they completely avoid it. Weirdly, some of the same people then answered my consumer poll. So in the consumer one, I said, how do you feel about seeing AI content from pet brands? 6% said, I'm okay with it. 44% said, yes, as long as it's truthful. 25% said it makes me less likely to trust. And 25% again said it puts me off the brand completely. But what I found really funny is there was a few people that said, I'm really confident or I use it with human editing, that then said it makes me mistrust a brand or it puts me off the brand completely. And I thought that's such a weird juxtaposition that some of these people were saying, I use it for my brand and I use it to speak to my customers to sell my wares. But if somebody else did it, I wouldn't trust it. That's where I was thinking it's this perception, maybe not even the reality, but this perception that AI is duping people or that they feel tricked or that they feel, that they're not getting to the crux of what this business is or who they are, the personality and that sort of thing. So yeah, no, it's really interesting. But what do you think of that?
So on the human editing side, that's quite interesting because people are honest. A lot of people probably do use AI, but then the results that they get back, it might not sound quite like them or like the brand or their tone or voice that they want to portray. So then they might be using it to save time, but how much time do they put back in trying to really polish it and get it right? So are they using it properly? That's what I would say about that. So that Kirsty, comes down to the prompts and what you're feeding the system, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I think, so AI is great. It's a great teacher. It's a great researcher. It's a great writer. And different models do have different abilities. So so it definitely comes down to the prompt. And it also comes down to the research and information that you're giving it. So it's knowledge base. So say you're doing an example of teaching a dachshund dog training. So if you went and researched through Gemini, training dachshunds, then it will come back with a lot of research. You can also put research papers in there. So building that knowledge, getting that research behind everything, and then start pushing it through and saying, okay, we're going to now start building a blog on this. I want to make sure that we've got the introduction. Here's my expertise. So you can use your voice. Voice is going to be massive in 2026. You will be getting phone calls from bots very soon. So use your voice and just speak to it. And then it's starting to learn how you talk and how you speak. and what words you would use and what words you don't use. And I think building up that information pot first before you just type in, even though you could have a great prompt, but if you don't have the backing behind it and the research and your expertise poured into it, then it will come out quite generic. And I always say 80-20. So yeah, let AI do 80%, but you still need to add that 20% of sparkle.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose that opens up another question in terms of, like with your specific example, if someone was then pulling in, other stuff they found online about Dachshund training and research papers and that sort of thing, I suppose is that a grey area then to regurgitate as their view or their method? If it's, I suppose that's more of like the validity of it and the morality of it. And is it okay to sort of grab a whole load of information that we can find on the internet, not necessarily go through the channels that, let's say it's the dog training, because the industry is, you've got regulated and then heavily unregulated and people doing it as like a hobby thing, that the market just becomes this weird wobbly place where you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know whether you're going to get a trusted, qualified dog trainer who really knows how to get the result that you want, or are people then going to be thinking, actually, well, they could have got all this information online. They could be copying X, Y, and Z's method and have a business, essentially.
You can learn everything on the internet. Like, the knowledge out there is available to everyone now. So we are now open for knowledge. The library is open. So anyone can get that information and it's freely available to everyone in the world.
Yeah, true.
It's up to you as your business and your mission, your values, and what you have to make sure that you use the information in the right way to deliver to your clients.
It's a little bit like rely on people's moral code, obviously, to put out what is their subject rather than, maybe things like, well, again, another question, is our qualifications as important as they used to be? Is higher education or, all that sort of stuff as important now as it was before? Sorry, that's question.
Anyone now has access to education.
Yeah, which
is massive for everyone in the world. I suppose we shouldn't really go down the political route, but should knowledge be gatekept? Should it be kept away from people? Well, no, we don't need to do that now. We have the amazing, we can learn in lots of different ways as well, not in just one way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've used Notebook LM. I don't really want to go into different ones, but you could put your knowledge. Say you found a research article and some information, you put that into Notebook LM, it takes that source, it turns it into a podcast, it turns it into a video, it turns it into a quiz. Now that, there's other ways that it can, that you can use it to learn different things. So the question was, should we be using all of this massive amount of knowledge that's available to us? But that's for us to filter and be skeptical of everything.
It's a moral question, isn't it? Rather than anything else. It's,
It's very deep.
It is, sorry. Went too far. It just interests me, like how, as a business owner, you're trying to stand out. You've then, before AI, I say before AI, but before we knew about it in the context that we know about it now, a dog trainer, for example, would go a certain route to become a dog trainer. So they'd go qualifications, they'd have experience, and then they'd start talking about it in terms of their own business. They might have previously worked with another dog trainer or a school or something. So they're then putting out, I've got this experience, I've got these qualifications, I've got this, that, and the other. But technically, someone can come in who's a bit wet behind the ears, never done it before, researched a bit of dog training and say, actually, I'm a dog trainer. And they've got to compete with that person. So like that.
That could happen without AI.
It could.
Watch a couple of YouTube videos.
Yeah, it could. And it's more of a moral question, isn't it, I suppose?
And
yeah, your own filtering. But I think maybe as consumers, do we potentially need to do more research into the brands that we choose? Do you think?
So I think what's going to be happening 2026, I think we're going to be wanting more connection with people. So we are going to be looking for one-to-one events and smaller communities. So where we've had our big, massive Facebook groups with thousands and thousands of people on there, you can see a massive shift already over to small school groups on the school platform. People want to have that smaller community. They want to start interacting with a smaller group of people that they can start trusting and that are regulated. I mean, we've had lots getting kicked off school groups because, they're not the right people for that group. And then, so a lot more people are going to be going, right, I want in person. So I want to go to events. I want to go to small groups. I want to see those people. Bigger brands, they're doing it as well. Pop-ups everywhere. So they were online. They're going to be popping up. And dog brands can be doing that as well, as just creating that in-person event and really starting to get to know those people, and personalisation. People want it personalised. So
I totally agree with you there as well, Kirsty, because PIF, as the trade body and the membership organisation, we are going to be doing gatherings this year. So smaller regional gatherings for our members. We've been doing some executive briefings for our larger members as well, and they've been really well received. And obviously our Business of Pets conference, which we do in June, I do a shameless plug, 3rd and 4th of June this year. We will always keep that to 100 attendees as well, because the value of being a smaller group and the connections that can be made rather than a large-scale event.
And people want that. People want connections and they want that community and they want to feel that it is personalised. So, you can push out everything on social media, but when you find that small group of your community, that's you win.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and bringing that back to AI then again, and if you do put online or social, if you've had that in-person interaction with the business founder or someone within the business, if suddenly that tone of voice is different online, how are people relating to that? Because, they might get confused.
Yeah.
And then the counter argument to that is, and again, bring it back to 2026, the brands, smaller businesses that go live, are they going to win? You're authentic. You as a business owner, people can see you, your personality and who you are.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, live's going to be massive. If you can go TikTok or Instagram live, people want to talk to you. You see it all the time, actually. There's a lot of people that just will have they'll be cooking in the kitchen or something and they'll have a live event going on. They'll just be watching the live event happening all the time, live shopping, because people know that if you put your product on Facebook or just an image of it, you can't feel that real experience of it. But if someone's showing it to you live, you're like, oh yeah, I've got that. Or I've gone to an event and it was there actually. It's a lot of people now, it's not just that once, they're searching. So say they do want a new dog bed. They're not going to just see it on Facebook and go, yeah. No, they're going to go to LinkedIn. They're going to find all the people commenting on that dog bed. They're going to go to TikTok search and they'll say top dog beds. They'll see it, videos of it being used. They'll go to YouTube and find out that the founder's done a massive talk about how sleep is important. So they're going to be searching. I think it's like 3.1 platforms that they're going to be going across to make that last purchase as well. So they will research quite heavily into making, especially if it's quite a big purchase.
Yes, there's going to need to be more consideration, which is, I suppose, is really good for founder brands that are happy with getting the face out there and getting their opinions out there, getting the words out there, doing stuff like this. But I wonder how easy that is to do on a scale, because like you're talking about the smaller groups and things, and you're talking about, you have some massive brands that I couldn't tell you the name of the founder if, you put them in front of me, or I wouldn't know them. So I wonder whether that's...
Well, they'll have staff. So you'll see some of the larger brands. So one of the big cases, which is just, I don't know if you've heard of Lovable, which is a vibe coding app. So you just build apps on it. All of their staff, as part of their contract, are on social media. They are the educational leaders. So every staff member has LinkedIn, they write blogs, they comment on Instagram posts, they comment on LinkedIn, that's part of their job, is to be part of the founder story, and all of the staff are part of that. And I think that will be where the bigger brands will win.
Interesting. So it's funny, isn't it, that that's going to have to be essentially part of a contract. And you can imagine there's a lot of people out there that are really uncomfortable with doing that sort of stuff. So that is interesting. But I think it is.
I think there's different ways of doing it, because you see a lot of people, and some are faceless. You can be faceless, there's a lot of, travel vloggers that just show their experience of traveling. You might see the back of them once or twice.
True.
They're not in your face all the time. So I think it's finding your style that works for you and it doesn't feel like a chore. It just feels easy and natural and comfortable. A lot of vacancies now also want to know if you've got what influence you have. Like there was one job and I think it was like you have to have over 50,000 to apply. You had to have over 50,000 Instagram followers.
That's just changing the goalposts even more, isn't it? It's mental. It's just so interesting to see like how things are changing. You know, I saw, I keep seeing memes about it because this is my sort of thing that I'm into. But like I see the memes where someone comes in and say, you've got zero marketing budget, but here's your new AI manager in some agency or something. And I think, oh God, yeah, that's what's happening. But to be fair, we've always had, as marketers, anyone who's been in marketing or had a marketing team knows that the marketing team's budget is the first one to get cut, which is probably why, obviously, this surgence of AI is so appealing as well. You know, how you can get the stuff out quick. But do you think because we're getting all the stuff out really quick as well, and we've been taught as sort of smaller business owners, in fact, anyone has really, but the daily post thing, please the algorithm, get the stuff out quick and lots. Do you think it's now going to be more, it's going to have to be really tailored, really personal? It's going to have something completely different to disrupt what this massive sea of stuff that we're seeing?
I'm a bit old school, so I'm always a believer in marketing about only post or say something when you've actually got something of value to say.
So I was listening to a podcast yesterday, today, and it is changing. But if you watch any of the big, really good podcasts, they say the same 10 things over and over again. Like if you watch any of them, they've got their core meaning and their core value, and they just repeat it continuously. And I suppose that's the thing, is repeating your core message over and again in a different way, and saying the same thing but in different ways to be able to get your message across. We were talking about before, obviously, with video becoming quite big. So creating, videos. So if you created a 30-minute video, you've now got 30 reels, 30 TikToks, because you snip them down. Oh, you could even make them to 60. Like you can just use that 30 minutes and snip it down, and then that's your month's worth of content. Turn that into a blog. So it's repurposing content over and again, but saying the same message. And I think that's really key. So get clear on your message and what you want to deliver and educate, and then deliver it in a different way. I also think we're moving away a lot from sales. We're going to have a lot more educators coming on. So it's not just about, here's my product, this is what I do. It's actually educating and giving away everything. So Disney Plus, they've got their High School Musical coming out. They've taken their 54-minute movie, they've snipped it down, and they've made 53-minute 1 minute YouTube videos. You could, yes, watch the whole thing in 53 minutes through all of their different videos. You're not going to do that, though, are you?
No.
But you're going to see 53 pieces of content that's been delivered in one day. I mean, that's massive to be able to do that, and high quality content. And then most people are going to go, oh yeah, I've seen that and that and that, and I want to watch the whole thing now, so I'm going to go buy the Disney subscription. So I suppose don't worry about giving away everything for free. Like just give that education, that information out, and people will definitely get back to you. They will be following you and your fans, and that's what you want, to build that community and that trust.
So I'm just thinking that like the key things that you can kind of pull out of this. So it's like, have the personality, show some humanness in whatever form that is, and give masses of value in order then to stand out. Because I'm seeing sales changing. You don't get, you see now there's a different generation come about where like literally in a shop, people don't come over to you anymore and say, do you need any help? Because it's changed. I think that's a little bit more like a Gen Z thing. People just don't want to be approached. People don't want to pick up the phone anymore. It's a different, era. I'm still, old school millennial. I'm quite happy to pick up the phone. But it's just that shift that you see, sales itself is going to have to become almost a creative thing in itself. It's going to have to be more personal. It's going to have to be maybe the whole sales where it was just, here's the product, do you want it, yes or no, that sort of thing. Maybe that itself needs to become a different experience for brands. And, it takes that personality from the educator, the founder, the message, the values, all that good stuff. But then that almost become that, it's a seamless process. Marketing sales looks to me like it's all sitting in this orb at the minute, and we're just kind of, as long as we keep the same orb, we're not, dipping over here and changing things. And maybe
I suppose that's where it comes back to you, Kate, is building that really clear, strong foundation of your brand. So whenever you do go and make that YouTube video, or when you do snip it back down, or if you do have any written content, they've got that really strong brand that they're always just coming back to, and that AI always will deliver on that brand, on that core brand and those values. So I think that's really key, as well as making sure that, they've worked with you to make sure that that brand is really strong before they start pushing out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, another thing that I tell people to consider is when people are doing face to camera stuff, I always call it talkie videos, but that's just me being stupid.
No, it's talking head videos. Yep.
Yeah, talking head videos. But I see this seems to be like a bit of a designer thing, and maybe it's a bit, but like certain people will do it like hand gestures, a certain hand gesture, or at the end they'll do something, and even that now is becoming part of a brand, and people don't necessarily realize, but they recognize these little things, or even the background, for example, people have something specific in the background of every video that then becomes a bit more of a brand anchor. So we're almost looking at branding in a less linear sense of, yes, you've got your visual elements, you've got your strategy, you've got this and the other. We're thinking of, like, talking back to the value of real, having something real and tangible that you do say or display throughout your content. And that's almost
You'll probably find those hand gestures are from the AI avatars.
There's some real people that but yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it? Like the different things people do that we've probably never really considered. I mean, you look at Netflix, and when you put Netflix on, you've got and that's like a brand sound. So we went, we've gone from brand visuals, then we've got like sound bites and things like that as well. But we're just taking it one step further, and
I think it's
brand pieces.
building that repetition.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I said repeat, those same things, but that's what you're going to get, because there's so much noise. You do have to repeat yourself continuously, but people also like familiarity.
Yeah.
So if they're familiar with you and your background, and they're quite familiar, with the way that, I always have my hair like this whenever I'm on video, because I've got my characters, my little LinkedIn characters, which are the same. So having that consistency of even the way that you look on camera or anything like that, that just, people are familiar with it. They like being familiar. And I had one guy that I follow, and he obviously got this new, I don't know, agency to edit his videos. And I was just like, that's not you, so that familiarity had gone because he tried to do something. He's gone back to the way he did it before. Finding the way that you are and showing up as you is what people want, and being familiar. People like it when you're familiar.
So this probably says to me, if we're kind of summing up, that people are valuing real more, human connection, definitely. So maybe the advice out there to people who are running pet brands that, yes, you use AI, but use it in the right way.
It's a tool.
Yeah, of course.
At the end of the day, it's just another tool in your toolbox to use, So you are part of your business. So AI is just another tool, and there's lots of forms of it which keep getting pushed out every 5 minutes. There's a new update.
Yeah. It's a lot for people to keep up with as well.
Don't have to. Try not to. You'll go down a rabbit hole. You'll just shiny object. It's, I definitely think get your foundations right. So build your personal, build your brand assets and make sure that they're consistent, and also have your AI business brain so that when you do put that information in, and if you are using another model, because ChatGPT probably knows you really well, you can use that business brain in Gemini or in Claude or in any of the other new models that you want to test out and try, because there are quite a lot out there. But then it always comes back to your core business, because if you you went to Gemini and said, write me a blog, it's not going to know anything about you.
Yeah. And that's where you get the weird language that it sounds too polished. It's, and people do spot the AI tells as well. Maybe it's an AI brand in itself, isn't it? M dashes and what's that word? The conjunction sentences. I can't remember. Someone told me the other day, but they use like the don't do this, but this.
So there's a humanizer prompt. I can share that with you.
Oh, okay, cool. Interesting.
So you can put that
Well,
into
thank
your
you.
settings.
Thank you both for your summaries. I think there's some great discussion points, and we could keep on talking for the rest of the day on this, I think, in 2026 and beyond. But I think we bring this talk about to an end. My kind of summary, I think, while it's clear that AI offers a powerful launchpad for efficiency, I think the real human element remains, heartbeat of definitely the pet industry for me. So whether you're a manufacturer or a brand, or you're running a local service, I think the goal is to use the tools to enhance your story rather than replacing it. So I'd like to thank both Kate from Finbo Studios and Kirsty from PetBizAi for sharing their insights and thoughts today. And for any members listening, just remember it's all about your unique voice, I feel, and your real world experience, especially in the weather today. We're still in the midst of winter, and that will always be your greatest asset. So thank you for listening and joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.